Okay, I actually am live now. That was great. Hi, everybody. I'm Jenna Blum. Welcome to Mighty Blaze. I'm one of the co-founders of The Blaze, and today I have the great joy, I've been waiting for this for so long, of interviewing Catherine Newman. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Jenna. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy. We're going to be talking about Catherine's new novel, Wreck, today. For those of you who were in love with Sandwich or Catherine's other many numerous publications, you are in for such a treat. Meanwhile, let me just do a quick commercial for the Blaze. If you're a repeat Blazer, thank you for bringing your light back to our Blaze. If you're new here, please know we're a team of about 30 creative professional volunteers dedicated to linking authors with new books with their readers. We got started during COVID when the pandemic canceled in-person book tours, and obviously we've gone well beyond that, and we can still bring you your favorite authors and their new novels in your living rooms without anybody having to put on pants. So if you like what you see here, I know, really good, right? I mean, I'm so dressed from like the waist up, and now when I have to put on hard pants, I'm like highly resentful. If you like what you see here, give us a like or a follow. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, which I refuse to call X. We are on Substack. We're on TikTok. We're ubiquitous. And if you are of a mind, please subscribe to our newsletter at www.mightyblaze.com. Never have literary FOMO ever again. Nobody likes FOMO. So please sign up. And now, without further ado, I am going to welcome our guest officially by reading her bio. Catherine, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Buckle up. It's here. Catherine Newman is the New York Times bestselling author of the memoirs Catastrophic Happiness and Waiting for Birdie, the middle grade novel One Mixed Up Night, the kids' craft book Stitch Camp, co-authored with Nicole Blum. Blum? Nobody knows how to pronounce this last name. I am an expert in the lack of pronunciation. Nicole Blum, good choice there. The best-selling how-to book for kids, How to Be a Person, and What Can I Say? And the novels We All Want Impossible Things, Sandwich, and the novel we are here to talk about today, Wreck. And she writes the Substack newsletter Crone Sandwich, which I subscribe to and actually read, which is a rarity for me because I just have so many Substacks, which you probably do too. But I'm like, oh, good, Catherine wrote a new Substack, and has been a regular contributor to the New York Times, Real Simple, the Oprah Magazine, Cup of Joe, and many other publications. With the trademark humor you have already come to know and love if you have read Sandwich, Catherine says, I've also written about kids, parents, teenagers, food, cooking, love, loss, gender, eating, death, sex, politics, books, baby snakes, foraging, relationships, craft, holidays, travel, and fortune telling. And I was the etiquette columnist at Real Simple for 10 years, even though, yes, I swear a lot, welcome to the fucking Blaze, and don't know what an oyster fork is, which is like so Pretty Woman. Totally love this. Catherine, thank you so much for joining us.
So happy to be here.
This is going to be fun, you guys. Come up with all of your questions. I told Catherine in the green room, I've been like stalking her online and actually went to the Boston Book Festival party this weekend as a plus one just so that I could meet her, and then almost got thrown out of the party. Like one of the board members was like, what are you doing here? Are you an author? I'm like, yes, I'm an author. Don't I look like an author? Apparently. I did not. But anyway, you are on tour with Wreck now, and thank you for making time for us. Can you please tell us what this book is about?
Yes, I can. So I was on Good Morning America yesterday because it is the November book pick for them. So mostly it turns out if you're on TV, all you do, you hang all of your anxiety about it on the hook of what am I going to wear? So I just spent like months thinking about what I was going to wear and had many consultations. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh no, I don't know how to describe the book.
That.
I was like, oh, they're going to ask me what the book's about. And I have like my necklace and I have all. So the elevator pitch is so tricky with this book because there are a couple things I can say about it. Like, it's about a woman in her mid-50s named Rocky who's kind of grappling with mortality in different ways. On the one hand, she is being diagnosed she has a rash, and she's in this kind of diagnostic, endless black hole where they can't figure it out, and they do more and more tests. And on the other hand, she's obsessed with this local accident where a kid who her kids went to high school with has been killed in a collision with a train. So that's like all there is plot wise. So it's really a book about this woman with this kind of excess of anxiety about loss, about who is she going to have to grieve and when.
That doesn't sound familiar at all to anybody who's middle-aged. They're like, how did you even think of this? Mysterious rashes, like weird physical things that come and go for no reason or come and stay for no reason. Everybody's just like, it's probably menopause. Don't worry about it. Like everything that goes wrong with me. I'm like, well, my foot's backwards now. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of what
it's menopause. I know. Oh, we see that all the time. The backwards foot. We see it. And then you see it in your portal where it's like Jenna presented with a backwards foot. It's probably
right. Or like my fingers, they're like, oh, yeah. And you're just like, oh, I guess it must just be age. I don't know. Anyway, so first of all, I want to know, I'm going to go and stalk you now in a different medium. I'll go look up the GMA interview. And that is such great news. I have questions, but what did you wear to the interview? Let's get to the important stuff here.
Oh my God. So I have to just say, you guys, I live in Western Massachusetts. We are not addressing for TV people. It's like, I was joking about like, Jenna could visit me and we could go to the Birkenstock Museum where it's like, we wear Birkenstocks unless it's something fancy. And then we wear Dansko clogs. So I got this dress. I was in London for book stuff last 2 weeks ago. And I shopped at the Royal Hospice charity shop, which is a thrift shop in a fancy neighborhood. And I got this green dress, very simple, but like really pretty, long, but like has a waist, whatever. I was so in love with this dress. I had a group of friends who were going to like help me with my outfit. And everyone was like, no, not the dress.
Why?
They felt like it was too like hid my body. And so
for me, not for you.
They ended up putting me in like these pants, which are really cute, and this blouse that was borrowed from my friend Becky, who's a lawyer. Everyone was happy with that outfit. I went home, put that outfit in my suitcase, and then was like, I think I'm going to wear the green dress. And I wore the green dress like a stubborn whore. And I got off TV and I had all these texts from everyone who had consulted and was like, oh my God, you are so stubborn, but you looked great.
See, you got to do your own thing. You have to be comfortable in whatever you're wearing. Like if you're borrowing your lawyer friend's blouse, no offense to your lawyer friends, but you'd be like, now I'm a lawyer. Like I'm not a lawyer. It's very weird.
Where you feel like you're actually performing like a character of like, I didn't want it to be like, oh, now I'm playing this role. And the role is like Catherine Newman is on TV, dressed like a lawyer. Like I just wanted to feel like I was normal. That said, I felt like a Yeti. I mean, I sat down on the couch and the couch practically tipped everybody off of it. Like I just felt so, I don't know, like country is like big country girl. I just like sat down in my big green dress. And anyway.
Like with your milk buckets. And did you wear Birkenstocks though? With the green dress?
I wore these like really chunky black boots that seemed incredibly stylish at home. And then I was on the set and I was like, wow, okay. But everyone was, I have to say, they were so gracious and lovely. It's like a very short clip. If you watch it, you'll just see all they're trying to do is put me at ease. That was like their whole mission was making sure I felt normal. And so I did.
Oof, it's so hard. I'm totally going off the reservation. Guys, it's just going to be a wacky interview today. We're not going to do the usual questions. Or maybe we will. You guys can ask the usual questions for me. But I have to say, like, I was a TV kid. My dad wrote for TV. And whenever they needed a kid for a segment, they would haul me in. And so I know what a set is like. And I still think it's so uncomfortable to be on TV where they're like, smile naturally and beautifully. And you're like, that's actually not a thing. And you're looking at a camera. All the TV people have like these little tiny bodies and big heads so they can be seen from the back row and like all the makeup. It's just so weird, right?
It was really weird. I had fake eyelashes for the first time in my entire life, which was really exciting. And also, my parents live in New York. They're very, very old. They live in their rent-controlled apartment on the Upper West Side that I grew up in. Um, and so I basically, for the 24 hours before I went on national television, I was somebody's child, the way it is. Like, they were like, do you have everything you need? And my mother was worried about whether my jacket was going to be warm enough, even though I was just like getting picked up in a car. And so I basically arrived feeling like a child, which was just too funny to me. So it was so heartbreaking and sweet. Like,
it's kind of disconcerting, I guess. Although you're lucky, because my mom would have like literally come to the studio, pushed me off the stage, like walked around with her giant purse with very hard edges, and then like looked for food from the craft table and like scooped it all into her purse. And then she would have been like, I gave birth to her, you should be interviewing me. So
wow, that was a great picture.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Okay, so that leads us back to the parents in your novel, in both of your novels in Sandwich and Rice. However, I still want to ask a question, like a little writer question. For those of us who have not yet been a GMA pick, what is that moment like? Like, how do you find out? What do you do?
It was so exciting. My editor called me, and it was a really long time ago. And they tell you can't tell anybody. So I told my husband and my kids. And that was it. I didn't tell my friends, which is, I can't even tell you how unlike me that is. And so it reminded me a little of being pregnant, where you walk around the whole time, you're like, I have a secret. And it's this big thing for me, but I can't tell you. So it was really fun and exciting. And then there's just an engine of like things that need to happen. And they make you feel like if too many people find out, they'll pull it. They make you feel like it's very precarious. I don't know why. Maybe so you won't tell anybody. Yeah, it was really exciting. I'm still very excited. I actually still, you can't see it. I still have eye makeup on from yesterday. They put so much makeup on me that I'm still like trying to get it off.
I would just leave it on for tour.
I'm never doing my hair again. I'm leaving it like this, and it's just gonna get, it's not gonna smell great in 10 days, but it'll be okay.
That's what dry shampoo is for, or perfume. It's all good. Oh, that's so exciting. I love to hear this. So you guys, Catherine and I share an editor too at Harper. Sarah Nelson is so great. And I'm trying to imagine Sarah's like very elegant, calm voice, like calling you and saying, darling, we have news.
It was like that. She was like, I'm calling with good news. And then, says the thing, and says, because she's so wry, she says, you've heard of Good Morning America? And I was because I'm so like, whatever, we don't have TV, whatever. I'm like she knows exactly what I'm like. And it was great. It was just really fun. I love that you know her, so you can picture her like polished, excited, dry, all of it.
Right, exactly. If there's ever a time when we like make her explode, it would have to be we all win the Pulitzer and the Nobel and like a Clio and a Grammy at the same time. She would still be very cool though. She has like the sang fraud. She has that factor. Oh, it's so good.
I'm writing that down because I never remember to use that word, but it's
but don't say it like that, because that's not, I don't think, how it's actually pronounced. But anyway, she does have that. I put her, you will see her in the galley that you have of my new book. She is an editor named Patricia, and I was like, I'm not even just hiding her. And I put her in just as she is, like an Erte lithograph that has come to life, and also my agent, whose name is Mireille, in the book. And then she and Sarah in real life fight about who is more important in the book. So
God, the book is, when is it coming out? In January? January
13th.
It's so good. It is so funny and so I don't know, it's just like delicious. Julie and I were talking about it, and she was like, oh my God, it's like candy. And it really is. It's like delicious, writery, like, I don't know, it felt like gossip combined with just like all this stuff that if you're a writer, you're like, "Oh my god, that is so funny," but doesn't feel like you wouldn't understand what was happening if you weren't a writer. It just feels like it's so funny to me, and even the stuff that's satire is so real.
Well, thank you so much for saying. I didn't pay her to say that. I also am going to transcribe this and like stick it on the cover as a blurb. So I'm going to call Sarah like right away after this. Anyway, thank you. Let's talk about your book. That's actually what we're here to talk about. Although I will give a shout out to our producer today, Julie Gerstenblatt, who is also a Harper author whose book is coming out next year in June, as a matter of fact. Stargazer of Nantucket. All right, so let's talk about Wreck. So tell me, who talked about what it's about. Those of you who know Sandwich know the protagonist of Wreck, Rocky. She is like a Sandwich Generation protagonist who has grown and flown kids, one of whom life circumstances plays a fairly large and surprising role in Wreck. And then she has parents, well, in Wreck, I don't want to give anything away, but her dad is living basically in the backyard in like a guest house. And I think I really want to know if you find this comparison apt, because I feel like this isn't a book where like things blow up and bodies get pushed off cliffs and stuff. Like you guys know this from Sandwich, which is so funny and so charming and so tender and so sweet. When I was reading both books, I kept thinking about Elizabeth Berg, who's an author I love so much, who was an Oprah pick, who's written like 27 books. And she writes with great tenderness, love, and humor about everything from like peanut butter, you know, those orange peanut butter crackers, to department store Santas, to like death. And she does it all with this eye that makes you feel glad to be alive. So I feel like your books are like Elizabeth Berg meet Nora Ephron, who I think does the same thing. Like she could turn her gaze on anything and it would be funny AF, but also like have a tender like marshmallow core. So I'm wondering what you think about those comps.
I mean, I love them all. I just wrote them all down. I love that. I love Elizabeth Berg. I haven't read her in a long time, I think. I used to read like everything she wrote, and I sort of forgot to see what was happening with her. I really do love domestic fiction. I'm so interested in parents and kids. I always loved those movies that were like grown kids home for Thanksgiving. You know, those like moody sort of dramatic comedies with like Noah Wiley or whatever. So I'm really, and I obviously Nora Ephron is, you know, such an unbelievable, she was such a genius. So I love that. Thank you. I love those comps. I mean, I feel like I read Nora Ephron now. Every now and then I'll just reread Heartburn, like just
Same.
to remember what that really low key kind of funny is. And it's just so good.
I don't think she was capable of not writing anything funny. Like I reread Heartburn every few years as well, and I have like a whole Elizabeth Berg shelf behind me. It's like all 28 of her novels, and she I have a great Elizabeth Berg story. She's such a generous sweetheart. But Nora Ephron, like I feel like back in the day, this will sound macabre, but it's really not. So at my dad's memorial service, my dad's best friend from like his CBS days when they were starting out in the mailroom was Jim Brooks, the director. And then my dad went into news and Jim went into movies. And Jim stood up at my dad's memorial and he was like, every time you turned on Bob's faucet, my dad, goodness came out. Like that's what he was like. He was just a good guy. And I feel like, I know. So I feel like that's the same way with like your novels, Elizabeth Berg's novels, Nora Ephron's novels. Like I feel like tenderness and humor comes out every time you turn on the faucet. And my question as a writer is, how do you do that? How the F do you do that? Because it just looks so effortless. Like, is this what you're like? Do you just walk around being tender and funny all the time? Or do you sometimes like turn into the Grim Reaper when we're not looking?
I mean, there's some Grim Reaper in it for sure. Like I do feel like Rocky has some, I mean, some just grim, like preoccupation with death, which I don't think I would describe as just like tender and sun lady, but also she can be so impatient with her dad. She can be impatient with Nick. Like, I think she thinks of herself as a work in progress.
Well, I love that too. That I think the tenderness for me partly comes from when I say tender, it's not just like a sweet, loving feeling. It's also tender, as in a bruise is tender, or like
Oh, God.
tenderized in some way, because she gets very tenderized by anxiety, which her daughter also has. So
Yeah.
the humor is so endemic to who Rocky is and to the writing of these books. But I think the tenderness comes from that constant awareness that all of this is ephemeral. And she really, in Wreck, is struggling with that idea, I think. So I wonder if you could speak a little bit to Rocky's anxiety and like where that comes from and what it's like to write as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it does come from my life, just not beat around the bush about it. And I feel like this time of life, and Jenna, I know you know this, like, I feel like you've basically already said this, but like, we are gonna just lose more and more people. That is a fact of getting older. And I lost my best friend 10 years ago to ovarian cancer. She'd been my best friend for since we were toddlers. And I feel almost like it inaugurated this season of loss in my life. And so here, I'll just tell you, this is the thing I've superimposed onto Rocky is, on the one hand, right, we are going to lose everybody. Like, spoiler alert, everyone's going to die, I mean, or else we will. And so Rocky is like poised for loss. She is braced. She has lost her mom. Her dad is very old. This accident makes her feel like young people could die unexpectedly. She's dealing with her own health stuff that is very unclear how significant it is. So how do you hold all this uncertainty and still just love everyone completely extravagantly, like hold nothing back? Because that temptation is like, oh, I'm afraid of loss. So if I shut down a little, maybe it won't hurt so much. And she doesn't want to live like that. Like, she wants to just love everyone completely extravagantly and just hold the fact of her inevitable grief just like in a bubble.
If only we can do that. Can we do that? Can we just kind of say, okay, I'm aware that all of the people I love and my dog and whatever, you would think it's the previous generation, but it's also every once in a while I'm like, oh my God, I need to really cherish my friends right now, talking to all of you watching this and producing this and all things, just because you sort of take it for granted that you're going to live forever. And then when you start to realize that you're not, you're like, oh, but that means everybody else also is not going to live forever. Can you send that up to a bubble like in my tiara chandelier here? Like,
I mean, kind of. I don't know. I'm definitely, as a person, I'm working on it. Like, it's funny. This really good friend of mine, her dad died a couple of weeks ago, and I was really close to him. He lived with her for the last 10 years, and I just adored him. And he was one of those people, you couldn't leave the room without him telling you he loved you. Like, I would come for dinner and I would get up from the table and he would be like, oh, I love you so much. And I feel like I learned from him. I basically don't leave the room without telling everyone I love them. And I really don't care if that's annoying to people. Like, it turns out I just don't really care. So I just feel like there are ways to just lean in and leave nothing on the table. That's my goal. I don't want to be lying on my deathbed and be like, wow, I'm so glad I played it safe and didn't let everyone do much. Like, I just want it all out there.
so glad I was so cool and didn't disclose. I'm so safe now. Oops, dying anyway. Like,
oh, what are the chances? I know.
Yeah. So does writing the books help with channeling that out of the body and kind of onto the page?
Good question. I mean, maybe because you have to, I think because of the way that writing requires you to distill, I feel like you can almost create these Like, I gotta think about this before I say it out loud because I think it's gonna make me sound like an asshole. But
Okay,
I I feel like you almost can create these like things that feel like a sentence that feels really true, that actually has distilled enough of your own thinking that it's useful even though you came up with it. I know that sounds so corny and strange, but I think there's something about distilling that it can be really clarifying, that that's like we're just here for a minute. For me, like our only purpose is connection and loving everybody. So I think I'm just going to try to stay focused on that project.
love that. I don't think that makes you sound like an asshole. I think there are these rare moments of grace in the year to 3 year to 5 year to 10 year to 20 year project of writing a book where you do hit the nerve of what you're trying to say, and sometimes it's inadvertent, but you just say exactly what you mean with just the right words, and then it gets embedded in this much bigger project. And I find, I don't know if this is true for you, but those are the lines that readers tend to respond to.
Totally, it's true, right? Like highlighted in the Kindle, or I know, which is interesting. Like I actually try not to look too much at that because I don't want. I'm so worried about being like sticky. That you know how like Ted Lasso, the first season was so great, and then the second season was really good, but you're just like, okay, now now you know that everyone loves like how adorable this is, and I just like that fresh feeling of unstudiedness. It would be great to hold on to that. I don't know if that's possible, but anyways, yes, I do think that. It's funny, just while you were saying that, I was thinking about Murder Your Darlings because that's what I'm reading right now, and
Thank you.
I feel like it's so funny because that book is so comedic, and it really is. Like, do you think of it as satire? Like, it's sort of thriller, comedic, a little it's sort of satire. Okay, maybe not.
No, I think I'm so glad to hear you say this because I know it was pitched as a satire.
Oh.
But this is the first time I have written anything that I thought was funny, where I was sitting in my apartment snort laughing on every single page. And then I was like, I hope other people think this is funny because I think it's fun. So I'm just like sitting here being humbled by it. But yes, okay, anyway.
So funny. And I think something that's so interesting about it, and that maybe this is why it's so good, is like however funny it is and however much it's like about writers being ridiculous in a lot of ways, it's also so compassionate towards that the main character, the writer, because even though it's funny and even though she's like attracted to this guy who is such a like hilarious version of a common D-bag, but the writer version of it, like a narcissist and whatever, she just wants to be loved. Like at its heart, it's got this like profound truth, which is somehow incredibly anchoring for me as a reader.
Thank you. I can actually share the credit for that to my friend Chuck, who is the writer who's in our novel workshop, who has been working on books for 20 years and is now on sub for agents. And we were at a writing retreat at his house in Maine, and I was writing some of Darlings there. And he said, we were talking about the main character's emotional conflict. And he was like, loneliness is so hard. Loneliness is a terrible, terrible thing and can make people do really terrible things and feel terrible things. And I was like, that is exactly right. And that's not in there enough, like how eviscerating it can be. So really, you're throwing a compliment to my friend Chuck, who is just a love, and we all are rooting for him to get his books published. I think I have one paragraph in the book, and our thoughtful bro, my friend Mark, is watching too. He knows exactly what paragraph this is, but there was one paragraph in the book I was writing toward. And then when I finally got to the paragraph, it came out exactly the way I wanted it to, in that kind of way. And I still cannot read it without crying. And I know this because I just read it for third pass to like catch any errors. I read it aloud. I couldn't make it through the paragraph. I was on the phone with Mark. I'm like, I'm going to lose my shit reading this paragraph. And he's like, I know, just do it. I want to hear it. I'm like, okay. So I did. And I'm wondering, if you have, like, I could recite the paragraph for you. I'm wondering if you have from Rec, like, a line that you really love, that you remembered writing, that is like, that is the thing, that is the truth. Like, I didn't even know if I wanted to say that or I did, but it just came out right.
I definitely have moments like that, which are incredibly gratifying, where you write something and you feel like you've gotten at something very true. I don't know what your process is, but if I'm writing a novel, I wake up every day, I get very caffeinated, and I go for a walk and I think about the thing I'm about to work on, like the chapter or the problem I'm trying to pick through or whatever it is. And sometimes on that walk, like a whole line or passage will come to me, like emerge in my thoughts. And sometimes those are like the best parts of the writing because they're so clear and they come as like a distilled thought.
Do you like run that, like, do you dictate them into your phone, or do you like run back to the house, like, don't talk to me, I have to write this down?
I walk with a little notepad and a pencil and stop and write stuff down. But also I run back to the house and say, don't talk to me. I got to write this down. Like I have to write this while I understand what it is. Yeah, which is just a very, it is the opposite of writer's block, that feeling. It's like writer's tap that doesn't turn off, where you just are like, wow, like I have all these things I gotta, like where your hands are moving really fast. And then, an hour later you can be like, nothing, dial tone face, nothing.
Totally, but the faucet is on. Those moments are also the reason that I write, honestly, because they're so great. I was on a paddleboard this summer, and I had one of those moments, and I was like paddling down to the house really, really. I was like, I can't lose. I don't want to lose that particular line. I'm so afraid it's going to be gone. I've never paddled so fast in my life. I almost had a hemorrhage. But it's like, oh my god. And do you have like the lines that come to you that are like that? Are they mostly the funny ones, or are they like the sort of disguised truth of life that are like lurking under the humor?
Or like the disguised truth of life. I think most of the funny stuff is just dialogue that's lifted from real life that I've already written down. Like I just like listen to my dad and my kids talk and write it all down, and then I just have it. It's just mine for the using.
Everything is copy, as Noah used to say. Do you have a special like favorite passage that makes you laugh every time you read it?
Yes, I truly do. And there's a passage in Rec where Rocky and Willa, her daughter, take the dad character to a smoothie shop. And I have been reading that at readings, and it really makes me laugh just because the dad just like, he doesn't know what any of the things are. Like he doesn't know what matcha is or acai or why you would have bee pollen in your food so that always makes me laugh.
I love that. Is it like, how long is it? Is it a couple pages? Is it a page? I could make you read it.
Chapter.
Okay. Probably won't make you read it because I know people have questions, but I know exactly the scene you're talking about. And I have to say, like, as a reader, there are some books that I return to that have scenes in them that I go to because I know they will make me laugh, and then it just brightens my whole day. And I have those for Sandwich, but I have them for Rec too. So I'm going to read you like one of my favorite ones, see if you know exactly where this is, which I'm sure you do. And this is like Rocky and her husband are going to stay at a bed and breakfast on the South Shore. I love this book so much. This speaks like, help yourself to a cookie, the innkeeper said when we checked in, and she gestured to a platter with a single cookie on it. I can't. My husband is supposed to be baking more, but he's passing a kidney stone. A muffled groan filtered in from a room behind us, and she rolled her eyes. Like, I'm just like dying over like the sound effects. Like, you do physical comedy so well. And then on the next page, there are many wreaths made of faded plastic flowers, many haunted wicker baskets, obviously, and chairs, and many admonishing signs everywhere. Don't wash your feet in the sink, as we all do. No bananas in the trash. The bed's not a trampoline. Is the bed a trampoline? Nick asked, testing my knowledge of the room's constraints and limitations. Yeah, I said. He jumped on it to make me laugh, and one of the posts fell off and thudded to the ground, tangling Nick up in the ghost underpants, which are like the gauzy curtains on. And I just like, I think like it's so rare for a writer to do like sort of physical comedy so well, like to translate that to the page. I cried reading this, and there is also a scene when Rocky goes camping with her best friend, and they take edibles, and then they're both wearing these long nightgowns, and she tells her friend she looks like Wee Willie Winky. I think I like had to go get Depends to read the rest of the book. I was like, I cannot. Like for some reason, I just thought that was so funny. I was like crying, laughing. It was so good.
I'm really glad because that somebody just singled that scene out as something that fell flat. And I was like, that so does not fall flat because I laughed so much when I was writing it. That is verbatim lifted from life, where I thought she was going to tell me that I looked like Ebenezer Scrooge. And I was so excited. And I immediately started spouting all these Ebenezer Scroogeisms. And then, no, not Scrooge, Wee Willie Winky. And that has like been my personality ever since.
I didn't really weak. I mean, like I was like, whoever told you it fell flat doesn't understand how funny the phrase "Wee Willie Winky" is.
I just think that's inherently funny. I know. I feel I'm so Jenna. You've just quieted something in me because I was like, how could Wee Willie Winky not be funny?
It's like, automatically funny. Just Wee Willie Winky, and also scary, but also funny. Okay, say it 10. Wee Willie Winky, Wee Willie Winky. It's like it's so funny. It just I don't know. It was so great, and I was like picturing them creeping around with like mob caps and those like little pewter candle holders at a campsite. I mean, the whole thing was like delicious. I don't know. I thought it was great. You guys, like, if you're feeling blue, you have to read this. Like, just read it. Like, buy it and read it every day. It's so funny and it's so tender and it's so sweet. It's so funny. And Sandwich was too. I have to say that when I read Rocky for the first time in Sandwich, I was like a smartass for like a week. I know nobody out there can believe that, but I was like suddenly like really saucy, even if just to the dog. You know, like I just thought it was so like funny that I just couldn't stop thinking like I was really funny. So Julie has just put up that Sandwich was an instant New York Times bestseller. So true. And now we have Rec as a GMA pick. I'm wondering about like the effects of Sandwich upon Rec. Like as, you know, a writer, like your previous book always titrates in emotionally to the book that you're writing, even if you're trying to like block it out. Like, was it hard to write Rec because Sandwich was so instantly beloved and recognized by I think so many female readers who were like, oh, I totally get, you know, what is happening with Rocky and her sandwiched in the middle life?
Yeah, I think because it's, you know, not really. In a way, it was like, because it's the same it's the same set of characters. And it's just like she's focused on slightly different stuff. Like she's still anxious. There's a ton of stuff about mental health in it. And but because she's turned her focus from kind of like reproductive mayhem and menopause, I mean, she's still very menopausal, but she's turned it to this other set of anxiety. So I felt like I was able to keep Sandwich kind of out of it in a way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a standalone. I was kind of like pushing more for like, is it hard do you have to read Sandwich first, no. Ellen? She's our debut interviewer. No, you absolutely don't. Although you should read it for sure, but you don't. They're completely standalone and they're completely each enjoyable in their own right. But I was wondering, like, because of Sandwich, were you like, oh, I have to write more Rocky? Or like, did you want to write more Rocky? I'm sure you could write more Rocky. I know she did. She didn't, but she probably did.
No, not at all. And in fact, I kind of wrote Rec on the sly. Like I didn't really tell anyone I was writing it until it was like more than half done, just because I'm really superstitious and I'm just never sure if something's going to settle out actually into a book. Mm-hmm. And if anything, it was sort of the opposite. Like I wanted Rec to be different characters, but it just started to be an exercise in making it different characters that was sort of pointless. Like the characters, it always was, it was the same character. So I ended up just leaning into it and deciding if they hated it that way, I could go back through it and make it a new, different family. But nobody wanted me to do that. It was fine.
You'd be like a new, different family who would be like,
Exactly the same.
Exactly like Kristen Wiig in Bridesmaids on the plane scene where she comes back in with glasses and she's like, I'm Mrs. Iglesias. And they're like, no, you're you. You just have glasses. Yeah, Maki, right? Her name would be Maki. That's so true. Oh my God. It's not Rocky. What are you thinking? But you know what? It makes sense now because I remember bringing Sarah a prequel sequel to one of my books. And she was like, I don't think that would actually work as well as we might want it to. Like she said something very nice and gentle about it, but I was bringing her the concept and not the book already, and I'm very easily discouraged from. I'm like, okay, never mind. I just won't write again for 5 years. I'm just going to go. You know.
I'm exactly the same. By the way, I'm like, oh, forget it. I'm going back to waitressing. No,
right. I'm going to go work in a bakery. That sounds fantastic, you know. And then, but yeah, it makes sense to me what you're saying. The pressure of having a book that's super beloved, I think, like people then expect you to write a book about those people again, but your editor doesn't maybe necessarily want you to do that. She wants you to write something fresh. So you wrote something fresh about the same person, Maki, who obviously had more to say than could be contained in one book, which is so great. Okay, I literally thought we had talked for 10 minutes and it's almost an hour and you have an event this evening. I would like to hear from our audience who has questions. Did you pick the cover? It is so pretty. It is so pretty. It's so pretty.
Hi, Francine McDermott Katzen. I know your name. I did not pick the cover and I'm so docile. They do the thing, and Jenna will know this, and the rest of you who are writers also maybe will know this, but they do a thing where they figure out the cover. They don't really loop you in. They just figure it out on their own. Then they send it to you and they say, here's the cover. We all love it. Everyone here is in love with it. Let us know what you think. But they have already made it impossible. Like there's not actually, it's already like sealed up. It's like been vacuum sealed into a positive experience. And so if you wanted to say like, oh, I actually don't like it, like you would have to like cut into this like perfectly sealed thing that's already done. Luckily, I really loved it. There were two covers they were looking at. One was this one, and one was a little more chaotic, also a house. Wreck, that cover I love because it has a horror movie quality because there's the really beautiful house, but then there's the word wreck. Like I just love the juxtaposition of it. I truly had no notes. I thought it was great.
That is lucky. Also, I'm finding this conversation highly illuminating because what happens to me is I know exactly what I want my cover to look like, and it looks nothing like what marketing thinks it should look like. So they're like, "We love this. Here's your cover," and I'm like, "Actually, I'm doing that passive aggressive thing where I'm like, it's so beautiful. You guys are so talented. I love it so much. I see what you're going for, and I have a couple of changes if you don't mind me." Right? And then I saw this email chain that our editor had sent the design department. She's like, the author has some notes, as is her wont. And I'm like,
seeing an email chain can be so frightening where someone's like, yeah, she doesn't, and you're like, oh, do you know this part's still on it?
yeah. I mean, it was like, honestly, it was so nice the way she put it, but like the author like often has comments about her covers and I'm like, I do.
Is this your final cover?
That's the final cover, but there was a cover before that. So thank you. Oh my God, look at this like promo. I seriously could not pay you enough to do this.
It's so good.
Thank you. Okay. Hold up your book and you can hold up my book. We'll take a photo. We'll send it to Sarah. She'll be so happy.
Oh my God, yes.
I did it. Okay. Yes, I love the cover. But before that, it was the sort of cozy mystery cover that was very cool. And then I was like, I don't know, it's not really a cozy mystery book. And my French agent called Sarah. She's like, you are aware that there is pornography on the first page of this book. We cannot put cozy mystery on it. I'm like, yes, right. Branding, right. Anyway, okay. So Robin.
I love how dirty it is. I just think it's so funny. It's so good. I picked it up and I was like, oh, it's going to be like a writing satire. And then immediately it's like filthy. I loved it.
It is quite filthy. It's filthy. Okay, so Robin wants to know, are you involved in selecting your audiobook narrator? What a great question.
Yes, but they sent with Rec, it was a little different. We wanted Catherine Keener to do it. If you don't know her, she's an actor who I love. But she didn't want to do it. And so then I was really sad because I'd never expressed an opinion like that. I was like, could we get Catherine Keener to do it? And Sarah was like, well, we can ask her. And so then they did the thing that they usually do where they send, for all my books, it's been like this. They send 3 clips and you listen and you can weigh in. And Sarah and I always like the same person, so it's easy. Is that true for you? Like, is that familiar?
Yeah, we are very lucky we get to audition or like you get to listen to people and then kind of throw your darts at your first and second choices. And I had the bizarre and kind of lovely experience last week of people sending me like 60, I don't know if this happened to you, like 60 instances in the book where they needed to know how to pronounce.
Oh my God, it's the pronunciation, and you have to make little recordings of yourself saying these things. Granulomatous, sarcoidosis, whatever. I had to say all these funny little like medical things from Rec. I love that part.
I had never done that before. It was crazy, and it made me realize how much French there was in my book. And I speak French, so I was like, okay, it is the fait accompli, and then I'd go and find a YouTube clip of it, and then I'd be like, my French agent is literally grabbing her head with a migraine every time I leave you guys the pronunciation because I'm just like, there's a male narcissist in my book too who's narrated by a man now, like a male actor, and that actor's voice is so sexy that when I was leaving notes back for him, I was like, so Brayden, you so feel William. I'm going to sit on your lap and tell you how to pronounce the foyer. You know what I mean? It's so fun. It's so fun. I know a lot of our readers listen to audio. Okay, do we have more questions from our audience? I'm feeling like I'm feeling time pressure now. Can you tell us, like, what are you reading? Oh, good question. Well,
I literally am. I'm a little more than half done with it, and I'm taking it on tour with me, and I just feel really happy about that because when I'm like on a plane or something, I need a book to be really good, or else I can't concentrate because I'm always just looking around to see when the like snacks are coming.
Yeah, snacks.
That's what I'm reading.
Snacks are important. Okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad it's keeping you engrossed. And another question is, what advice would you give your younger self? I always love this question, especially your younger writer self. Like, it's a shift.
It's so funny. I have such a hard time with that right now because I'm having that. I'm sorry. No, this isn't what you're asking. Like, this is more a question about like, what advice do you have for people? But the way that question is phrased, I just have this feeling like my life has unfolded in this really like precise way, even though it's been so crazily roundabout. Like, I did not just come right into writing. I did so many other things first, and I wrote so much stuff before I wrote a novel ever. And so in a weird way, I almost feel like I would just tell my younger self to trust the process a little, because I did feel all the time like, what am I doing? And now I look back and I'm like, well, I was doing all the things that brought me here. So, and I wouldn't like trade experiences, I don't wish I hadn't had them.
Yeah, it's frustrating we can't see around the corners, even if we're trusting the process.
Absolutely. No.
But then I don't know if I want to know. I had an email exchange with an astrologer this morning, and she was like, I'll do astrology for your book if you do my tarot. And I was like, no. I mean, it sounded fantastic, but I'm like, I don't want to know what happens with the book in some ways, unless it's really, really good, in which case I totally want to know. But I mean, you just want to sort of unwrap. Life needs to be unwrapped in that way.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really. Do you read tarot?
I do.
I pulled the craziest tarot card I was at a book. What are those things called? Like a artist, the thing where you go away for like a week with
residency.
A residency. I'd never been to one, and somebody read my tarot from this deck where I pulled this card. It wasn't a traditional tarot deck, but I pulled a card that was like a woman jumping from a building in flames.
Oh, the Tower.
Yeah, it was this deck's equivalent of the tower. And my friend who pulled it was like, okay. You know, when someone's doing your tarot and they're like, no, okay. A lot of change. We're taking it all down. We're gonna build it up. I was like, oh, that's not good.
No, it's so fun. I know the tower, my friends and I who read call it the scary, scary tower, but it actually just means a huge thing is coming to change in your life and its circumstances outside your control, like being picked for GMA or having an instant bestseller. Like you built the thing, but a lightning bolt comes and makes it something you didn't expect. It's actually even though it looks terrifying, it's a much better card than like the Seven of Swords, which is the thief. So I'm glad you didn't get that. But when your tour is done or when you're bored in a hotel room somewhere, I'll like jump on with you and do some tarot if you want, just to keep you.
Okay, good.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, everybody, we need to let Catherine get to her evening event. Honestly, like I could talk to you for like several more hours, which I'm sure you would deeply enjoy. But we are
I totally would love it. I just have to like start putting on my clothes.
Well, you already have makeup.
I know. I have the makeup from yesterday. Thank God.
Right, exactly. And your hair looks great. It's like this is all the important stuff. But we wish you a delightful evening at Fairfax and a wonderful tour. And everybody, please go buy at least 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 copies of Rec. Give it to anybody you know who might be feeling anxious right now for some reason. Could it be the world or, whatever, because it will really uplift them. Read it yourselves. Catherine, thank you so much. And you know what? We're not letting you leave the room without saying we love you. I love you.
I love you guys. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the live. Happy reading.